how I gained my intended parents' trust during surrogacy. So with this is kind of like, I feel like if you're a decent human being, then you know how to be honest and trustworthy. And it was a chore to gain their trust. I was just myself every time that we talked. I was myself every time that we were around each other. I was very transparent about everything with appointments and, baby related things. I never tried to keep them in the dark about anything. And I'm a very open book. So I didn't keep anybody in the dark about any parts of my life. I told them all the things. And I feel like if you have an open personality, that it makes it a lot easier to be more forthcoming and, to be the same person all the time. If you're worried that you have to put on a persona and, kind of be somebody that's impressing them versus how you actually are, that probably isn't going to get you very far as far as relationships go. But I think that, just being completely honest from the very beginning, from the very first phone call that we had, I told them, I said, I'm an open book. I talk a lot and, I just kind of laid it all out there for them so that there were no surprises. And I think for the most part, we did trust each other. They obviously trusted me enough to put one of their most prized possessions in my possession. So, they were trusting that I was eating right, that I was, not doing anything that the OB says that I wasn't supposed to be doing, or, that I was forthcoming about all of the things. If there was a question or, a doubt, I would say something to them, and then I would bring it up to my OB and I would get clarification from her. And then I would go back to them and say, hey, my OB says, that's a no-go, or she's okay with it as long as you guys are. So just keeping them in the loop about everything. Don't just touch base with them on major things like a doctor's appointment or something like that. You want to make sure that they are aware of any and all baby things going on. And it's possible that maybe we over communicated because we talked every single day, but at the same time, I would rather overcompensate than undercompensate. So it just kind of depends on your personality, what you're willing to put out there for everybody from the very beginning. But I just think that, transparency is key. That's the end of it. And, that you're just a decent, honest human being from the very beginning, and you shouldn't have any issues.